Hello dear friends of the bass, I'm Toby and welcome to my basement. I'm back with the Squier Paranormal Rascal bass. It's been a while since I posted the first video on this bass where I took this bass apart, and I promised some mods on this bass, and now I'm finally able to cover them. So let me take you through the mods I've done. First, I did a shielding upgrade. This isn't strictly necessary because we have a 2 humbucker setup with these metal covers, so the humbuckers are shielded in themselves. We have shielded wires. We just don't have real shielding around the pots and the switch. The bass wasn't noisy before, but since I had already taken it apart, I thought I'd do the shielding anyway. So this is quite a huge pickup and electronics cavity, so you need a lot of copper tape and quite a bit of time to do the shielding, but it worked out just fine. Then I modified the electronics. Let's start with the pots. I wasn't quite convinced with the stock pots. They were okay quality, but it was a 500k volume and a 250k tone pot. And the lower the resistance on these pots, the more high-end you lose. And since this is a quite dark sounding bass, I thought I'd like to lose as little high-end as possible. So I changed the pots for 1 mega ohm pots. Then there's lots of possibilities for modding this bass, since we have the humbuckers with 4-wire conductors, so we could split them. We could even do some 3-way switches with series, parallel and single coil mode for each pickup. But since I didn't want to drill new holes in the pickup, I didn't do any of the splitting or series and parallel stuff yet. Maybe I'll do so in the future. But what I did is add some push-pull pots. There's no need for new holes when you do that, so that's quite cool. On the volume pot, I borrowed an idea from Rickenbacker, which is, if I pull this out, there is a capacitor switched in series with the signal. This is like a high-pass filter, so you get rid of some low end. Since this bass has a lot of low end, I wanted to try this, and the effect, I used a 4.7 nanofarad capacitor, and the effect is quite subtle. You don't lose that much low end, but it's a little bit, and it could be useful when you're like in a room with very boomy acoustics. On the tone pot, I borrowed an idea from another bass. The Sandberg Florence has something like this, and if I pull the pot, I have just a different value capacitor on the tone port engaged. Push down, we have a 47 nanofarad capacitor and pull up a 22. So when I pull it up, the tone blend is a bit more subtle. It doesn't cut all that much high end, which I think again on this bass isn't quite bad, because you have already a dark sounding bass with not too much high end, so the 22 nanofarad capacitor might come in handy in some situations. The next thing I did was to address some of the issues with these string ferrules. They weren't quite flush with the surface of the body, which was caused by a lot of paint stuck in the holes. And I tried to remove that paint. It's still not perfect, but it's better. The second issue was that these were quite loose and they did come out with the strings when changing the strings. So I glued them in with some epoxy, and hopefully they stay in place if I change the strings the next time. Which may be quite a while, because I changed the strings for some Labella flat wounds. These are the Labella flat wounds for the Mustang bass, which fit this bass perfectly because it has a Mustang bridge, it has string through body, and it has a 30-inch scale just like the Mustang. So the one part of the strings goes a bit beyond the nut, but it doesn't start to wrap around the tuner on the E string, which is great. The last thing I did is that I put some oil on the fretboard. When I look at it now, it's already looking pretty dry again, so I'll maybe have to redo that. So that's it on this bass. If you have any questions left, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. I hope you liked this little video. If so, feel free to hit that like button. Thank you for watching, and see you the next time.